What's going on? It's Joel Rivera from Texas.com, and I'm doing a video of my 48 hours with my iPhone SE. It's not an iPhone 7, but it did come out in 2016. So if you're looking for a phone, a newer iPhone, but don't want to spend that much money, this could be it. You have to take in consideration the price. The price of it currently, and I got it through T-Mobile. It was $449.99. I did the jump program, so it's roughly around $18 a month that I'll be spending on this. Alright, so if we were to compare the iPhone SE with the iPhone 6s and the 7, which are the two other devices you can get currently through the iPhone. Now, with the 6s, it compares pretty well. Not spot on, but pretty well. A 4-inch display, 640 by 1136, which is roughly 326 pixels per inch. Actually, the same as the iPhone 7. So you're getting the same amount of pixels per inch. And I'm comparing this again, not with the Plus model. The Plus model is a 1080p display. This is actually the smaller model. I'm talking about the 4.7 model. You're talking about the amount of pixels per inch. It is comparatively so. Now, 4 inches for media is probably not the best device. And I'll be honest, when it came to watching videos, I definitely miss my bigger screen phones. So if you're looking for a media device, this is probably not it. But this isn't supposed to be for everyone. First and foremost, this iPhone SE is supposed to be for those who don't necessarily want to get that really expensive $800 to $1,000 phone. They're looking for $400, $500 phone, and this could be it. People who I see that it was perfect for, probably someone with really small hands, and there are a lot of people out there. Senior citizens, if they want to use a phone, iPhone's always really good for keeping it simple. So definitely senior citizens or people who are older than 55, 60 years of age and don't want to get a complicated phone, the iPhone SE does what you need it to do. Also, teenagers. Maybe you're a parent, you don't want to invest in getting a $800, $900 phone for your teenager because you don't necessarily trust them or trust him or her all that well. And I don't mean that they can't be trusted with the phone. I mean more like, you're worried that they, are to destroy it, and maybe you want to see how well they handle a $400, $500 phone before you start giving them that $800, $900 phone. So, all right, so talk about the display. Let's talk about the iOS that it's currently running. Now, it's currently running the same iOS that you can get on the 6S or the 7. So it is running a iOS 10, which I gotta say, I think that's what really won me over. In these 48 hours, I don't know, Apple really did very well, I believe, with the iOS 10. It's really smooth in comparison to maybe the iOS 8 or 9. If you're going from the iOS 8 or 9 to an iOS 10, most definitely very smooth. The iPhone SE doesn't have the 3D touch, which was introduced with the iPhone 6s and is continued with the iPhone 7. But do you really need that? It's a cool thing to do. You can pop into certain applications, but a lot of people really don't use it. I know my wife, for example, it was a cool feature the first few times that she used it, but to be honest with everyone, does she really use it from day to day? No, I want to say that no. And the 3D touch, it started out as a cool thing to do, and it's cool if your phone does have it, but I don't feel it's a necessity. So going again on what I said earlier. So the display with the iPhone SE compared to the 6S and the 7, it has the same 326 pixels per inch. So you're still going to get the same image quality. I mean, yes, it is a smaller screen. We're talking about a 4-inch screen, and no, you do not get 3D touch, which with the 6S and the 7, you do get that. So yes, yes, you're losing those features, but to be honest, do you really need it? You know, for a lot of people, I don't feel like you really do need it. Battery life. Battery life was actually pretty impressive for this little thing, and I think it was because it doesn't have a high definition screen. It doesn't use that many pixels per inch. I mean, it's a small screen. It doesn't have a total amount of pixels as much as, you know, the bigger devices, so it uses less battery. And when you think about it, from day-to-day use, at least for my first 48 hours, or before I started this video, I was at 30%. We're talking around 7:30 at night. So going from roughly 7:30 a.m. that I woke up to using it till 7:30 at night, we're talking about only 70% of the battery being used. So I still had 30% to go, which I could have easily pushed it all the way to 10 o'clock and then having to charge it. And I am a high volume user. I'm not a user who just, you know, picks up his phone to do a couple of text messages and leaves his phone. I mean, I spend all my day really texting my wife or viewing stuff on Facebook or YouTubing. So I am a person who really uses his phone. And to be honest, this phone does amaze me in the fact that the battery doesn't affect it as much as some of those other bigger devices that you see, where I guess because it has so many, you know, pixels, and you're having so much media going through it, you know, this little device was able to hold up, and it has, I think, only 1700 milliamp hour battery. When you think about it, it's a very small battery, but the small factor design definitely has that benefits. Okay, camera. I was actually pretty impressed with the camera. Taking pictures, doing quick videos, selfies, doing definitely Instagram photos. Very impressed with the quality. Very impressed with the quality. I actually would say that you could compare it very well to a lot of flagship devices and doing near the same quality. No, I'm not going to say it's the best phone out. I mean, the best camera out there. Definitely Samsung still reigns supreme on that. But most definitely, it's a device that you can take a picture, pull it out, take a picture, and not feel that you're lacking. So sound quality, with the little speaker that it does have, it doesn't sound bad at all. You can definitely leave it on the table and listen to music. And it does have a headphone jack. It does have a headphone jack in comparison to the newer iPhone 7, which doesn't have a headphone jack. It's all pretty impressive for this little guy. And only paying $450 total value for this device, you know, yeah, I wish it was a little bit cheaper. This is the 64 gigabyte version. I should have said that earlier, not the 16 gigabyte, which my advice, if you do get the SE, don't get the 16 gigabyte version, get the 64 gigabyte version. Yeah, so it's great for picture qualities. It's great for taking video on the fly. Great for audio. Having the headphone jack, definitely a positive thing compared to the iPhone 7. Playing games on it, granted it's a smaller screen, but I was able to play, I play a lot of Boom Beach, and definitely able to play with no issues at all. And I gotta admit, Apple's apps run better than Android apps. And I don't mean all of them, but the vast majority, if you compare the iPhone version with the Android version, you'll be surprised that the iPhone version is probably going to run better than the biased, my own opinion, based on my experiences dealing with the same application from the iPhone to an Android device. I would say half the time, for example, Instagram runs a lot better on the iPhone. Facebook runs better on the iPhone, and can definitely go toe to toe with a lot of flagship devices. Now, I'm not saying this is the best phone out there, but I'm saying it is a really good phone for the price. And most definitely, I would say if you're thinking about buying it because you don't want to go to that bigger iPhone, you won't. Yes, you won't have all the features of the newer iPhones, but you also don't necessarily. I don't think you're gonna regret it. You're gonna enjoy the little guy. I mean, it's a little guy that could, but most definitely, the iPhone SE is a really good device. All right, so it has an A9 chip. Compared to the iPhone 5, which had a A7 chip, you're going leaps and bounds. If you still have an iPhone 5, you're going leaps and bounds to the A9 chip, which the A9 chip is the same chip that's on the 6S, and it runs smooth. It also has 2 gigs of RAM, so yes, it doesn't have 4 gigs of RAM compared to a lot of Android devices, but I will say this: Apple has its OS running smoother with a lot less memory needed. They just do RAM management better than Android. I really do like Android, but it seems like for Android devices you need to get more RAM to be able to run the Android devices in comparison to the iPhone, because the OS on the iPhone runs with less memory needed. But one thing I really hate about this little guy is the keyboard. It's too tiny for my hands. I've gotten used to actually typing with both hands, and I had to force myself to only use one. And I gotta be honest, it took a little bit. A lot of times, like typing on the certain keys, I wasn't getting the proper. It wasn't hitting the right key that I wanted to hit. So yeah, the iPhone's keyboard kind of sucks. That's my own personal opinion. What I did to fix that is actually download, what is it called, Gboard. Thank God for Apple allowing third-party keyboards, which they used to not. Apple Music, not a fan. Apple Music, most definitely you don't need it. I stick with Google Play Music. That's my own personal advice, but I know a lot of people use Spotify, and it works fine on the Apple devices, so you don't need to worry about that. Going from Android to the Apple iPhone, most definitely download and move to iOS. If you got an Android device, download and move to iOS. They made the app do automatically everything. I mean, everything. The contacts, the photos, the text messages, everything. So, yeah, all in all, the iPhone SE is a small device with a lot of package. It has a lot of heart. You're not going to be doing all the multimedia that you necessarily want to do, but it does enough to get the job done. It does enough to do what you want it to do. I loved it. I love my experience with it, especially talking to my wife with messages, doing iMessage. Most definitely, it is a better experience than you get on Android. So, yeah, do I think I'm gonna stick with iPhone? No, I don't necessarily think I am, because I really do enjoy the Android experience. But if I had to, this again is not a bad phone to have. It really isn't, and I could most definitely use the Apple iPhone. Alright. Don't forget to hit that like button, comment down below, and subscribe to see more videos like this. And yeah, this is the iPhone SE. not too bad of a phone.